What's going on, everyone? It's your boy Sage the Mark from It's Real Wrestling Podcast. First off, I got to start off by saying I apologize for the delay that we've had for the past couple of weeks. I will get into it in a little bit and let you guys know what it was going on. But be sure you guys check us out at Twitter at Real WrestleCast at Twitter, Instagram. It's Real Wrestling Podcast, all spelled out. Support the show, support your boys at patreon.com/ IRWP because that's exactly where it's at. Um, if you caught episode 120, you can kind of tell in both of our voices and from the topic that was at hand, something just seemed a little bit off between both Goose and I. Um, when we started out this podcast, we we did it with the understanding that this was more of a passion project for us, and that we were going to continue to do this until we felt it just no longer felt right for us to do. Like we essentially lost passion for doing it. Um, and it's kind of where we are, or where or one of us was at this given point in time, and that's okay. Wrestling is really kind of taken its toll on a lot of the community. You know, Goose included, myself included, with the way things have been going leading up to this time 2 weeks ago. Just seemed like it was just at a stalemate, and got to the point where we had to take a step back. We had to reassess if this is something that we really wanted to do. Um, and it's with sadness that I have to come out and tell you guys that Ben Goosen will no longer be uh, a regular on the show. Still always welcome. I mean, this is his baby just as much as it is mine. But he has decided to take a hiatus, and as much as it pains me to have to say that, I understand. I get it. There's some things that are definitely um, more important than doing podcasts. Family being one of it. Mental health is definitely also another one. Um, and I wish Goose all the love and support, and I hopefully hope this is not the end for him. Maybe a year from now he decides to get that itch and gets back into it, and if he does, I've got all the equipment for him here, that I'd be willing to give back to him. So, um, with that being said, where does that leave the IRWP? And then that's what I've been kind of contemplating the last couple of weeks. Where exactly does that lead? Uh, you know, lead us. What direction? Where are we going to go from here? Um, I've been thinking. I definitely have the passion for doing this podcast, um, but I feel like I need to evolve it just a little bit more, and maybe get back to the core essential of what I, I really wanted to do, for this particular podcast, which wasn't just talking about wrestling, but getting more so into the business side of wrestling. Both behind the scenes, the financials, um, the business aspect of it, the things that most people don't actually see. And I want to kind of incorporate that going forward, into these discussions and these talks. I also want to kind of be less WWE heavy, with this podcast, and I definitely want to be um, more centric on the community involvement. It's one of the things that we've kind of slipped, or let slipped, um, for one reason or another. We haven't given the community the opportunity to be more involved, to call in, to give their opinions. The contests are great and dandy, and I love doing them. I really do. But what I really want is to hear more from the community and what the community has to say, how they feel about wrestling in general, what they like, who they like, why they like them, what they want to know about. Those are the kind of things that I really want our podcast to be able to encompass. I feel like that would set us apart from everyone else, but at the same time not alienate anyone from wanting to come and be a part of what we're trying to build. Another thing is I've been working on this Project Canyon for our Patreon, I've been working on Project Canyon for the better half of 2.5 years now, and only our Patreons have really, been involved in that aspect of it. I really want to focus more, by the end of 2019, at least get the beta version out for Project Canyon. So I will definitely be working and be mentioning a little bit more of that, and be soliciting more assistance from the community to kind of help me build it out to what I think would be a perfect tool for the wrestling community. So I definitely plan to have a little bit more information on that in the upcoming. But if you want to be a part of Project Canyon, please make sure that you visit patreon.com/IRWP for more information on that. With that being said, I do want to make the formats just a little, because it's just going to be me for a little while, and without us having guests on the show immediately, I do want to condense the length of the podcast. Usually we try to go about an hour 10, so I'm going to try to cut it down to about 30-45 minutes or so, unless there's a real topic that that really warrants discussion. Then maybe we can kind of, go a little bit beyond that. The last couple of weeks, just kind of recap what everything's been going on and how I've been feeling about it. Up until last week, or the last 2 weeks, up until last week, WWE's kind of introduced a couple of new things. Most notably is the wild card. Which at first I was thinking that, man, this is a good idea. Goose and I in the past have been kind of talking about it, and what we think, what we wanted to see going into 2019. And one of those initiatives was to have a little bit more fluency between the two brands. And the wild card was supposed to provide that. It was supposed to have 4 people from at any given point, going between each brands, but it seems like it's the same 4 people that are going between the brands, which is making this idea really, really stale. I really felt like this was a great opportunity to have. It was a great opportunity for the WWE to showcase other talents and not the same talents going back and forth. Predominantly it's been the Usos, Lacey Evans, Becky Lynch, Charlotte, and I think that's and Roman Reigns, and Kofi Kingston. I mean, those have been kind of the ones that have been going back and forth between the brands, and it's the same people over and over and over again. And it's not even consistent 4 people. It's 4 here, 5 here, 6 here. That been kind of going on there, and I feel like it's the intention of what it was supposed to be versus what they're trying to actually use it for is not. It's diminishing it's diminishing to the rest of the roster, and I don't think that it's doing it any service. So I'm hoping that they just do away with the whole promoting it as the wild card and just be what it really is. No brand split, because I mean that's essentially what it is. The other most notable thing is this 24-hour title that was introduced by Mick Foley I think it was a week or two ago. And I like this idea. We've been floating around the idea of having a belt that kind of floats between both brands. Um, and the hardcore title has come up in our conversations, because it's just the perfect title, the do anything at any time at anywhere kind of thing. And I absolutely love the concept of it. It's been entertaining and enjoying. Yes, it's kooky, it's gimmicky, but it's different than it really is different than what they've done in the last 6 years, and I applaud them from trying to do something different. Aesthetically, the belt is atrocious, but the concept and the idea of it, I think, is really novel, and I enjoy it. I'm having a good time. I get to see fresh faces. Most of the time, I see fresh faces around that title itself, and I think it'd do good. Right now they're making it important by having it around R-Truth, which I think rightfully he's a good guy to have it around. Do I think that the longevity of the 24-hour title will be there? No. I don't think like in a year that we're actually going to be seeing this particular title. But that's okay. It really is okay. But it is what it is. I mean, it's supposed to be something different. We've all been clamoring for something different, and at least the WWE is trying. From that aspect of it. So, so that's the 24-hour title there. Saudi Arabia show is coming up. We got old timers, basically reliving the Attitude Era kind of thing. You already know my opinion on the whole Saudi Arabia deal. I will come out and say that I will not be covering it because I will not be watching it. So I seriously doubt Brock Lesnar as the new Money in the Bank holder is going to cash it in. I don't think anything meaningful will happen. I like the fact that they're not even mentioning Saudi Arabia. They're just announcing it as the Super Show or Jeddah or something of that nature. But I look at the card, and the card isn't anything spectacular. So I mean, it is what it is. So again, I won't be covering it. I know it's in 2 weeks, but I won't be covering it here. If you guys feel free, if there's something that you guys want to talk about, give us a call, 419-777-IRWP. Call the hotline, and I'll be sure to air it next week live on the air. So you guys can give the play-by-play in my absence. Since I'm not going to be giving it, y'all can go ahead and give it to me what you guys think is going to happen, and if it has any significance. I pose that to you. Do you think that it's going to have any significance? Because in my opinion, I don't think that it's going to hold any weight whatsoever. So the other big thing that's going on, and I'm gonna talk about it, is Double or Nothing. AEW finally had their pay-per-view show on Sunday. And if you've listened to the podcast, we've been excited of the opportunity of AEW and what it brings from a competition standpoint. I think that it is. I love the idea of it. I really do. And I was interested to see exactly what would become of like how the shows were going to be from a production standpoint, from a commentary standpoint, how they were going to introduce characters, because a lot of the characters that are in AEW aren't really household names, which is good, because you're starting differently, starting from scratch. So obviously you want to try something that's completely different, and I commend them from that. The production value was amazing. Each match seemed to outdo the other match, but yet keep things different in a way. I I continually I love the fact that Orange Cassidy was involved, and I love the fact that Orange Cassidy is becoming a thing, and more people are being able to see what a different side of wrestling that we don't actually get to see. I was hoping. I was hoping that Joey Ryan was going to sign a deal with AEW because I love that cat. And I feel like if he signs with the WWE, which it seems like he will as a coach, I think that was kind of what the leading rumor was, is that he would be signing as a coach. Um, I just I feel like it's going to put a I mean, I don't know. I don't know what his ambitions are in life, and maybe he wants to be that. I mean, Sarita was the same way in WWE, Sarah Stock, and and she loves what she does. Although I think she would have been a hell of a women's champion had she went up the ranks and went through the roster as a talent instead of as a coach. But you never know. What we like as fans isn't necessarily and shouldn't be the ambition and the drive of what the actual talent wants. So I definitely recognize that aspect of it. So, but there's that. There was definitely some shots to WWE, most notably Cody Rhodes taking the sledgehammer that's iconic to to WWE's Triple H and smashing his throne that had his insignia, Triple H's insignia on it, which is the Crusade symbol. So I definitely as much as they came out and said that they don't want to compete or relive the Monday Night Wars, it's starting to seem like that's exactly what it is, and that's good, man. They should have a chip on their shoulder. They're expected to fail, but you've got a group of ladies and men who want to provide the world with something different. They want to change the world, and they're doing it with the talent and with listening and the creativity and stuff like that. So kudos to AEW for putting on a hell of a performance over the weekend and showing that even at the age of 50, you can still go if you have the drive and you have the passion. So a little worried about the commentary. I know that's kind of been the theme of IWC, but I say that they'll work things out. A lot of it's just because we don't know outside of JR who everyone is on the commentary table. We need to give them an opportunity week in, week out to kind of get acclimated. And once we get acclimated with them, they get acclimated with each other, I think the commentary piece will come along. So it's no knock on AEW or anything like that, but it definitely is something that was a bit of a distraction offhand. So there was that. And I love Goldust. Dustin Rhodes is like he's amazing. He's amazing to me. I'm definitely so glad that he's involved in some aspect with his brother. So yeah, so there's that. The other thing that I wanted to bring to light, towards the end of the rumors were swirling around. Been swirling around for weeks about Jon Moxley and where he was going to go. I was in the camp that I really think that he was gone, but I felt like this was good enough to be like an elaborate work. So I'm glad I got worked in that aspect of it, because I really do believe, judging from like his mannerisms and basically what else is going on from a creative standpoint behind the scenes, and wrestlers, asking for their release because of creative differences more so than the money that they receive. I was actually happy that he decided to depart from the WWE, and he did arrive in AEW, and he made an impact on AEW. And I'm not going to go into details about him attacking Kenny Omega, but I love I I love it, man. I love it. I'm excited for this version of Dean Ambrose. I unfortunately did not have the opportunity to experience John Moxley. So this will be my first opportunity to kind of get acclimated with him. I will say that I really wish he would have done the traditional Dirty Deeds instead of the modified DDT version of Dirty Deeds. I that I thought would have been pretty awesome, but I get it. That it is what it is. So um, I did catch the Chris Jericho um, podcast with Dean Ambrose on it, just because it was making the rounds this morning in terms of the stories that Dean Ambrose was or John Moxley Mox was getting, and it was an eye opener. Like the very first thing that I noticed, like right off the bat, and I apologize that my camera is kind of like fuzzy. I'm gonna try to. I know I shouldn't be doing this like midstream, but there we go. All right. So the one thing that I noticed like right off the bat is the difference in how he gave this interview versus how he gave the interview with Stone Cold Steve Austin a couple years back. The Steve Austin one seemed like he didn't really want to be there because it was going to be like heavily modified or scripted, is my guess to it. And here you could just tell like the floodgates were completely open. He gave some interesting, and I recommend, I'm not going to give this thing justice, trying to paraphrase any of this or pick out pieces and stuff. But the one thing that really I liked is that the theme of the whole entire thing was that like he had creative differences, and that gave so much validity to a lot of other wrestlers who've had the same issue with WWE. Even though we've been told by the likes of Xavier Woods that we need to be stands and just enjoy the product and not worry about what's going on backstage, but it could be further from the truth, man. Like, it's not always about the money. Some people like to do what they do, and I've said this time and time again. Some people like the money, and then there are others that like what they do and care about how they do it. And we've heard creative differences, spanning far back, but in recent memory, we've had Austin Aries, we've had Pac, we've had Sasha Banks, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, allegedly. We've had Luke Harper ask for his release. Perfect 10, Ty Dillinger, Sean Spears asked for his release. Kenta asked for his release. And the common theme is that they're all on the main roster, and they, there's always been how do I say, this theme about the character, the way that their character development and their interactions were creative, and their ideas not being taken into account. And Dean, I'm gonna say Dean because that's all I know him as right now. So Dean really put that into perspective for us. Is that people would come to him with some silly stuff. He felt like his character wasn't going the way that he wanted. He wanted to make the recommendation to change it, but had to run through all these hoops to do it, only to be told no. I really hope that for all the people in the community that bashed like the likes of Sasha Banks and Austin Aries for taking a stance to protect their character, to protect their passion, and their ability to love what it is that they do. I really hope that they take a step back to realize that although that they may be perceived to be there for their entertainment, that their agenda matters as well. their happiness matters as well. Their mental health matters as well, because no one should ever, especially when you're doing something that you love to do, they shouldn't be subjective to my way or the highway kind of thing, regardless of who you decide to work for. I commend Dean Ambrose for waiting out his contract and then taking off and leaving. And there was an interesting debate that was going on earlier. This thread that I was looking into about it, and it's funny to me how people think to know how contracts are, and that they confuse the employee with the 1099 a contractor kind of thing, especially with the whole, you do what I say you do, and you don't have an opinion, and you like it because you get paid X amount of money to actually do it, so you shouldn't have to complain. And I've never subscribed to that philosophy at all, for a couple of reasons. One, you should never put yourself, and I say this constantly, you should never put a company above yourself. Always do what's ethical, but never sacrifice your self-worth and your happiness for the company, because at the end of the day, the company is about making money, plain and simple. And you should be about protecting yourself. Know what your drive is, what your motivation is to come to work every day, and question yourself if this is still something that's going to make you happy. And if it doesn't, do what you need to do to get out. Contractors, believe it or not, 1099 contractors, most contracts actually have an out clause for both the employer, I shouldn't even say the employer, but for both parties, both the subcontractor and the client, that the subcontractor is providing services to. And it's usually like giving a written notice for a certain amount of time, and that's it. And then, there's morality clauses as well. But judging from everything that I've been piecing together with these contracts, it definitely does seem like it's a one-sided contract where these 1099 contractors cannot get out. I don't get it. Within employees, it's a little bit different. Contracts are structured a little bit different, especially if you decide to get out prematurely. It's usually tied to a monetary value, whereas where you can't really get sued, it's just more of, hey, you end up owing us this amount of money if you decide to renege from your contract, because we gave you this bonus or whatever, or something like that, to that effect. Whereas 1099s can usually come with some type of litigation because it's a straight breach of contract. Employers don't necessarily sue employees, but companies will sue 1099s and are can be very litigious at times, depending on how they perceive to impact their product. Now, I was also reading somewhere that California, which is one of the states where WWE does business in, is putting some types of restrictions on what they consider to be 1099 contractors. So that's going to be interesting to see how that goes through the court process. I would definitely keep an eye on that piece of it, because that could definitely force a change for WWE. I'm going to do my due diligence and kind of investigate a little bit more about how exactly that law is written or being proposed to be written or legislated. But that is definitely something to be out on the lookout for. So yeah, I mean, there's that. Again, guys, make sure you subscribe. If you're listening to this on the audio podcast, make sure that you check us out on YouTube, youtube.com. It should be youtube.com/C/IRWP, but you could just search for It's Real Wrestling Podcast or IRWP on YouTube, and we should be able to come up there. Also at Real WrestleCast on Twitter, and It's Real Wrestling Podcast, all spelled out. So NXT, is coming up, and I unfortunately my hiatus from wrestling has also reached to NXT, and it shouldn't have, and I apologize sincerely for that. Um, so I won't have any predictions for say on NXT. It's kind of weird because this one has been actually bounced around. I believe this one was actually supposed to take place in July, and then with the whole Money in the Bank being switched out for Backlash, and then Backlash getting scrapped, uh, it's this one just ended up getting lost in the shuffle for me, and I haven't had an opportunity to take a look at it. The few matches that I do know is Io Shirai and Bianca, or Io Shirai and Shayna Baszler. Um, as much as I want Io Shirai to win this one, I still feel like NXT is in a not a holding pattern per se, but I feel like they're in a different direction than the main roster. Um, I don't think we're going to be seeing much farm up to the WWE or to the main roster, um, and that I have a theory on a couple of things, um, but let's talk about that a little bit later. Um, I've got Shayna Baszler winning this one. I think that it's pretty much a no brainer from that perspective. But Io Shirai will eventually be a winner there. So I think Shayna Baszler won't be called up until Survivor Series. That's my guess. I'm thinking it's Survivor Series, but who knows? Or they might just keep her there because maybe NXT will just be a thing. But who knows? Tyler Breeze is coming down to fight the North American champion, the Velveteen Dream. And I don't know about this one. Like, Tyler Breeze has always been one of the gatekeepers of NXT, but he's kind of been given a new lease on life by coming down to NXT. So I'm wondering, are they going to swap, or maybe this is just an enhancement thing? I don't know. But I don't think Velveteen's dropping that title. I mean, arguably he's the strongest champion on that brand right now. No offense to Johnny Gargano, it's just he's just the guy right now. And I don't think that you're going to take the title off the guy. I think that Johnny Gargano is probably going to end up having a match with the King of Bros. And I think that might actually be the person who takes the title off of Johnny Gargano in the future. Or maybe he takes it, maybe Michael Cole or Adam Cole. I said Michael Cole. That's like the cardinal sin right there. But maybe Adam Cole takes it off of Gargano, only to give it to the King of Bros. That might be interesting. I kind of like that theory a little bit more. Yeah, so it's with that opinion that I'm going to say that Adam Cole is going to win the title. I don't know. Maybe that sets him and Rodney up for a few, because it looks like there's going to be a momentary split in the faction. So maybe we'll see. There's still a lot of time going on from that perspective. So what else? I believe the tag team championships are up for grabs, so that's exciting. The only ones that I know and care about that are going to be on there is the Street Profits, and I am telling you right now, aside from that thunder that you heard, the Street Profits will be your new NXT Tag Team Champions. My man Montez Ford will be champion. That's what I'm talking about. So I'm definitely excited for that. And man, for someone who hasn't watched NXT for a couple of weeks, I am sure shooting off the brain on these matches. So kudos to your boy Sage the Mock for keeping it real, because that's what we do, son. That's what we do. Well, actually, that's what I do right now. That's what I do. So, and I think that's it from the card for sure. But yeah, I mean, who knows? before we kind of just cut for the wrestling talk and get into a little other topic here, um, I took a look at the WWE stock because I'm a little concerned. Not because I think that they're going to go under or belly up or anything like that, but the stock usually is a good telltale sign of where a company is and where they're going and things like that. The numbers don't lie unless they're cooked. Hey, um, but the one thing that I've noticed in the last couple of weeks of wrestling is we were getting an oversaturation of Shane McMahon, um, and I can't quite put my finger on why. I feel like this is his last run, maybe into WWE. They're over milking this best in the world thing. I thought that it was going to end with the Miz beating him, and then that's all we were going to see. But it seems like they're going to be extending this for the next couple of months, if not maybe through WrestleMania. So maybe this is the last we're actually seeing of Shane McMahon. We got a pretty extensive package on SmackDown this week, which I thought was pretty. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I'm a mark for Shane McMahon, and really never had an opportunity to see his heel side, as I stopped watching it during the Attitude Era, post Monday Night Wars. So yeah, maybe this is his last hurrah, and maybe that's why we're getting this best in the world kind of thing. So, and maybe CM Punk is going to do a one night only kind of thing at WrestleMania to take that title away. I don't know. I'm not saying that he's going to do it, but I am saying usually when you milk someone that hard, the payoff is something that you least expect. So there's that. But yeah, man, that's it for wrestling. Like I said, I do plan on taking a little bit more of an analytical approach to talking wrestling. I also want to cover different promotions than just the WWE, just in general. And maybe even just talk or chronicle different wrestlers or go back to yesteryear or something like that. So let me know what promotion aside from the big three, what promotion that maybe I should cover and take a look at, and maybe we can make this a thing. But hit hashtag IRWP, comment on this video. Let me know what you guys feel from that perspective. So enough with the wrestling talk for now. Let's talk about a little movies. Man. Really, really excited for what's coming up in for the summer movies this year. And for me, I love movies in general. It doesn't matter if it's like gory. I don't typically like scary movies, although I do like Saw, which is not really scary. It's just more of a psychological gore fest kind of thing. Which I will say, Chris Rock has signed on to, I believe, to either produce, direct, or be a part in some fashion for the next Saw as a reboot. And I like it. I'm excited for it. I don't know how I feel with having a Saw without Tobin Bell, but I mean, I get it. If they're gonna ever continue this saga, there's gonna become a point in time where there's not gonna be a Tobin Bell. But I just hope it's not anytime soon, because Tobin Bell is just like the ultimate sadistic individual that rights the wrongs, and I just love it. So I'm definitely looking forward to that coming out. But Saw Avengers, a couple weeks we didn't really cover it. You guys know, I absolutely enjoyed it. I felt like it did a great job of bringing all of the past 10 years together and just giving us what we want: a solid story, kick-ass, kick-ass and funny moments, things to be things to be for us to be able to remember moments, magical moments to be remembered. So I definitely like that. I anticipate that coming out on DVD next month for sure. Since Captain Marvel just came out this month, and they were only a month apart from each other, I'm hoping that we get it and that they don't wait until Christmas to release it. That's one thing that I can't stand is when they try to milk it until Christmas and then try to release it. So hopefully we get that next month. That would be great. I have not had an opportunity to see John Wick, but when I do, y'all will be the first to know. I've heard great things about John Wick 3 and prematurely blew their wad by telling us that there's going to be a John Wick 4. So I don't know if there was like a scene at the end of the movie that alluded that there was going to be it and then they had to make an official statement, or whatever the cause might be, but that's definitely a thing. So I'm definitely excited for that. So yeah, there's that. I did see Aladdin, and Aladdin was amazing. Um, I liked I liked Will Smith's rendition of the genie. I, like many, had some reservations going into it, and that's all mainly because I'm a big fan of Robin Williams and all of his work. He's my Peter Pan. He's my Patch Adams. Um, he's my genie. And to see somebody else fill that role is just, it's heartbreaking. But they did some great callbacks, and yeah, like I definitely enjoyed it. So Will Smith did a great job. Both the actor and actresses did a great job as well. I love Jafar's character, and I love the way that they gave Jafar like a backstory, where he's not evil incarnate per se, but he's just driven by wanting to be better than everyone else, and that it eventually leads to his downfall. And I absolutely loved that aspect of it. And I love some of the songs were a little quirky. Mainly I can't remember what the name of it is, but the one in the beginning of the movie where him and Jasmine are going, Aladdin and Jasmine are going through the market trying to escape the law enforcement for getting them because they were stealing, kind of thing. The hand in the basket, bum, 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 bum. So there was that, but I mean, it's a Disney flick. I mean, it was more of a callback for us older fans that grew up watching Aladdin, the animated shows and stuff like that. So that, it comes with the territory. But I think that they hit it out of the park with Prince Ali. I think they hit it out of the park with Vanessa Williams' hit of A Whole New World, her and Luther Vandross. I thought that they did a great job on that, and they added a couple of different lines in there too. And there's a new song by Jasmine, which I absolutely liked. So yeah, I thought they did a great job with that one overall. But the movie that I am most excited to see, and I believe it comes out next week, is Dark Phoenix. So anyone who knows me, they know I am a big Jean Grey fan. And with that comes Dark Phoenix. I absolutely love the story arc. Back to the X-Men animated series when they had Phoenix and then ended up making the X3 with Famke Jensen, who's still my favorite Jean Grey. But I absolutely love the Phoenix because everyone has that complex where they're like in life in general that they want to be better than what they are, that they feel like they're more powerful than what they are, and they just want to let that side of them loose. And Jean Grey can actually let that side of her loose and be all powerful, and I just love how that translates on the screen, in the writings, in the comics. And I think that's going to be pretty awesome. It's going to be weird Because I don't think Wolverine is in this movie here, because I believe they said that Logan was his last movie, and that was that. And they can't really have recast Wolverine because in the first class movie he was in there. And I even think in Days of Future Past, yeah, and in Days of Future Past he was actually in there as well. So recasting him wouldn't really make sense, even if they reset the timeline altogether from X3. So man, I can't wait. I can't wait. It's going to be amazing. Bad Boys 3 will be out, I believe, in August, so that's going to be pretty awesome. From a gaming perspective, we've got Modern Warfare, which I'm excited because I don't really know what to expect. The trailer just came out. Maybe we're going to get a little bit more next week at E3 about it. But if I hope Rabbit comes back. Like, I hope it's a full reboot with the campaign and we get Rabbit back, which I don't think he'll be back because I believe he got executed in the last Modern Warfare. But Rabbit was my favorite character. No, he didn't. He actually was the one who did not. I'll have to double check. If you know, hit us up in the chat right there. Let us know. Or this video. Let us know, if Rabbit died or not. I cannot, for the life of me, remember if he died in the last Modern Warfare or not. But yeah, I'm definitely excited for that. And I like the fact that Infinity Wars is back in the mix. I'm not really a Treyarch kind of guy. That was pretty evident after Black Ops 2. Treyarch just, it wasn't doing it for me, man. Infinity Wars was where it was at, although it's not really the true Infinity War, because the debacle that happened a couple years back, and then going to Respawn Entertainment or whatever. So with Titanfall, yes, Titanfall. So, and it's not the traditional team, but I'm still definitely excited to see how that game plans out. I might just wait to get the game and not get it in October 28th, which I think is when it's supposed to be released. But we'll see. But that's it for me, guys. Thank you so much. I plan on getting back on our regular schedule to do these. More interviews coming out with wrestlers and production people and fans. To harken back at the beginning, this is a passion project. I still have passion for wrestling. It may not be WWE, but it is wrestling, and I think that that's still okay. I hope that you stick around for our journey. I know the Goose was the man that was pulling the strings, and I know you guys loved him. He's my boy. Will always be my boy for life. But hope you guys ride this journey with me. Hopefully we can make this into an even better opportunity for all of us here at It's Real Wrestling Podcast. So with that being said, again, thank you so much for the love and the support. I'm not going to have any intro music coming through this week, but or outro music going in this week, but I will going forward. So yeah, upgrades. I've got them coming. And hopefully we can make this into a better product, guys. With that being said, love one another, respect one another. As my boy Goose would say, go out, meet yourself a wrestling fan. We all share the same passion and the love. We might not have the same opinions about the wrestling product, but we do have something in common. We all love wrestling. So with that being said, y'all know the drill. Keep it real.